A formal welcome to the delegates today. My special welcome to the two stalwarts of our federation, both a senior advocate and expert in their field, Madam Premlata Bansal and Ganeshji Purohit, and of course the young and energetic Kapil Goyal ji, who will be delivering the lecture. हम इसे कहते हैं सोने पे सुहागा. Though senior most and Kapil ji, you are going to have a real good knowledgeable session today. Friends, those who have not paid, I am always repeating my COVID fund prayer and request to all of you. Please pay to PM Cares through us. As I hear today, the CM's meeting, the lockdown is going to be extended still further, at least in Maharashtra, that much I know. The rest of the state, the CMs will have to take a call. With that in mind, we are coming out with a nice setup, series of webinars for indirect tax, GST mainly. Now, that would not be a pure lecture and question answer. It's going to be a question and answer session. We would be calling the questions in advance. I am doing it in association with 2 or 3 local associations, and we have a panel of 3 speakers for indirect taxes who would be answering to the questions received by us in advance, and they would be topic wise. We have sorted out 7 topics as of now, and it's still to be given a final shape, and I would be doing it within maybe by tomorrow you have the announcement also for that. So friends, wait for our announcement. You can visit our website. Last thing, if you are not a member, please become member. You would see from our website, becoming member gives you a lot of benefit. We have 45 webinars. This must be 47th as of now. We have all the webinars, PPT, as also YouTube link on our website. So please become member before the membership increases. Over to you, Satyanarayan ji. Thank you very much and welcome to all.
Thank you very much, madam. Let me wish Premlata madam belated Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, madam. So you are the senior most mother in our fraternity.
Thank you.
Federation rather.
Thank you.
Prasad ji, I request Mr. Prasad, S.N. Prasad, Chairman of Sadaranzo, AFTP Sadaranzo, to give welcome address.
Good evening to all. I welcome our National President Nikita Madam ji and past President of AFTP Premlata Bansali ji and our Ganesh Purohit ji. And also I welcome our past President Sitapada Rao ji, and also I welcome our past Deputy President Sri Malladi Srinivas Rao ji and all chairmen of the zones, and our today's speaker Kapil Goyal ji. So Madam has told is very young and energetic. So today is the turning for me, our AFTP. So I welcome sir, and also I welcome all the members of all the zones of members and executive members. And today is the sixth seminar of the South Zone. I thanks to our Nikita Madam ji to give opportunity to our South Zone, madam. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Mr. Prasad. I request Madam Premlata Bansal ji, our past President of AFTP, to give welcome address.
Yes. Good morning, friends. Respected Nikita ma'am. If Samir bhai is there, then Samir bhai, Ganesh Purohit sir, my dear friend Rajesh Mana, I am recognizing him. He is here. Friends, I feel privileged to have this opportunity to share my views in this webinar held in Corona Kal. We are really indebted to Shri Satyanarayan sir, S.N. Prasad sir, Sitapati Rao sir for organizing this series of webinars under the guidance of Dr. Murthy, past President, M. Srinivasa Rao, Deputy President, and has allowed the benefit of special knowledge of legal luminaries to all our members. I congratulate the organizers for organizing this webinar. Friends, Corona Kal has created extraordinary situation and therefore requires an extraordinary response. Amidst the period of lockdown, these virtual conferences are the best utilization of knowledge, time, and technology. Shri Harish Salve has rightly said that the world is not going to be the same and also should not be the same after Corona epidemic. History repeats itself. Hence, we have to take lesson from Corona episode. Corona has taught us that life is very little. What we have spent money on is on the lifestyle, and therefore we have to differentiate between the life and lifestyle. Friends, COVID-19 is a harsh reality. It has impacted the way the education is taught, the legal services are rendered, and the legal services are given and the justice is rendered. It has changed the age-old way of dispensing justice. Friends, lockdown has not made us dull. In fact, we have learned to live with Corona, to live with family, to live and feel the nature, to feel the pure air. Most of all, we all have sharpened our memory by these webinars. We are not the same as before. After Corona, we will be changed because we have sharpened our armory. And therefore, we are preparing ourselves to face the complications of life and profession more efficiently and more effectively. Insofar as today's subject is concerned, Kapil Goyal is there and we have nothing to worry. He will enlighten us. Friends, be safe, be happy and healthy. We cannot change our circumstances. We cannot change seasons. We cannot change wind, but we can change ourselves to have the sustainable growth. I once again congratulate Satyanarayan sir, Sitapati Rao sir, Prasad sir for organizing this series of webinars under the guidance of dynamic President Srimati Nikita Badeka, for making this year eventful through technology. Friends, I also want to convey the delegates that who are not the members of our federation, that our federation is unique and dynamic, and therefore be member of this federation. Thank you, friends.
Thanks a lot, madam. Now I request our another past president, Sri Ganesh Purohit ji, to address the members.
Thank you, Satyanarayan ji. Our national president, Mrs. Nikita Badeka, our past president, Srimati Premlata Bansal, Mr. S.N. Prasad from South Zone, Sitapati Rao Sahab, Dr. M.V.K. Murthy, and many of my friends who are there in this webinar. Friends, the Mrs. Bansal has already highlighted the need of the hour and the use of technology. Today we have with us a very eloquent speaker, Shri Kapil Goyal. I remember him when in 2017 we had a conference at Jabalpur and Kapilji had come to Jabalpur. I still remember, and people of Jabalpur also remembering him for his wonderful deliberation in that conference. So just to lighten the load of Kapilji, I would like to give the brief background of section 115 BBE. Friends, you will all remember that there was a practice of converting black money into white by introducing cash into bank accounts of the persons who were either not taxable or taxable at a very, very low rate, so as to take the benefit of the exemption limit that was there under the Income Tax Act. So by Finance Act 2012, this 115 BBE was introduced to cure that menace, so that if you are not able to show the source of deposit or the fund, then you were liable to tax on maximum marginal rate. That was at that time 30%. And then in 2016, a amendment was brought in 115 BBE clause 2 to say that no expenditure will be allowed as deduction. And thereafter, by the second amendment of 2016, which was on 8th November 2016, demonetization was announced by the government. And we were all thinking that there is nothing to worry because of this demonetization, because we could always include our deposits in the bank in our income tax return, pay tax and 30%, and we will be free, because if you have disclosed your deposit in your income, then there was no question of any concealment penalty. So government woke up late on this issue, and then by second Finance Act of 2016, they increased the rate of tax from 30% to 60%, and also surcharge of 25%. So it became 77.25%, including surcharge and cess. And if 271 AAC penalty of 10%, a corresponding amendment was also made in that section, and 10% penalty was provided. So it actually made 83.25%. So that lucrative incentive of offering that income into your return was completely taken away by the government. Now here there are few questions that are to be, I would like Kapil to address on the questions, is that they have given a retrospective effect, because section 115 BBE has been made effective, that increase in rate of tax has been made effective from 1st April 2016. Whereas Supreme Court, back in the case of Karima Thuruvi T State, 16 ITR 256, they had said that any amendment in the Act will, the law as applicable on 1st April of the financial year shall apply to the assessment year. And in this case, the law has been changed sometime in December, and it has been made effective from 1st April. So what will happen to the period that is from 1st April to 8th November 2016? That is, I think that requires deliberation. And in this respect, I would like to point out that there is a writ petition has been filed in Rajasthan High Court in Jodhpur bench, and notice has been issued to the government on this issue, wherein the virus of this provision for increasing the rate of tax from 1st April has been challenged. That is in the case of Mr. Maratha, Deepak Maratha. Yeah, in that case. So this is the background of 115 BBE. And I remember I was hearing the webinar of Mr. VP Gupta, when VP Gupta was addressing AIFTP on this issue. He has pointed out one very, very important aspect, that in this demonetization, it was declared as non-legal tender. They said that from 9th of November, the high denomination notes will no more be a legal tender. But then he said that there is a promise given on every note by the RBI that that the government promises to pay to the person the equivalent of the amount of note which he is having. And this thing was withdrawn from 31st December. So what will be the effect? He had posed a question that what will be the effect of it saying that this is not a legal tender, but that promise still continues. Another thing, friends, is that petrol pumps were allowed to accept the high denomination notes. And then while making assessment, we have seen that income tax officers have added the entire deposit in the bank account.
Sir.
And as a matter of fact, I would say this is a very high-handedness of the tax officers, that they are not accountable for their actions.
Sir.
And in place of finding out that what amount is really could be undisclosed income, and a question arises when a sale is recorded in the books of account, how does it become that the source is not explained? He is offering that sale for the purpose of tax, and that sale is recorded in the books of account and it's verifiable vis-a-vis the stock account maintained by the petrol pumps. So why such a high-handed assessments have been made, and unfortunately the CBDT is not taking any action against that. So these are few points, I think, which have very, very important relevance so far as this our today's topic is concerned. And lastly, I would like to convey my thanks to South Zone and Shri Srinivasa Rao, our Deputy President, and Mr. Satyanarayana for remembering me on this issue and allowing me an opportunity to interact with all our friends of the South Zone and all over India. So far, I can see that 282 people have already logged in, and I expect many more to log in due course of time. And I again welcome our learned friend Shri Kapil Goyal, who is again, as I said, is a very eloquent and learned speaker. I also would like to hear him and add to my knowledge. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank Ganesh Puri, sir. And you said really set the tone for today's lecture by Sri Kapil Goyal. Now it's my turn to introduce Sri Kapil Goyal to the members of the participants. Mr. Kapil Goyal is a Bachelor of Commerce from Delhi University and is a law graduate from Meerut University and a fellow member of ICAI. At present, he is practicing as an advocate in.
मेरा इंट्रोडक्शन जितना शॉर्ट रखेंगे उतना बेटर है.
Yeah, only one sentence, sir. He is practicing as an advocate in New Delhi, Delhi High Court. His experience, his expertise in direct tax litigation, prompt in-depth analysis of latest case laws. He is member of Direct Tax Representation Committee of All India Federation of Direct Tax Practitioners and interaction with CBDT and Ministry of Finance. He has addressed more than 1,000 seminars in bar associations, training in corporates and ICAI, branches, study circles, regional councils, direct tax committee. He has represented more than 1,000 cases at appellate authorities, including ITAT and High Court level. It is with very brief introduction. I am introducing Sri Kapil Goyal.
Thank you, sir. Sir, Satyanarayan ji, first of all, thank you for giving my introduction. Actually, I was just stopping you, sir. I am dear to everybody. So, I receive all of your love and blessings. So,
one small second, sir. Let me apologize to you for troubling you in last week when you were not well.
No problem, sir. No problem.
Thank you.
No problem,
Please,
Satyanarayan ji. My regards and good wishes and warm regards to Premlata Madam ji and Rohit Saab, Nitika Madam in absentia, and Rao Saab and Satya, yourself and Prashad Saab and everyone, sir. And Srivastav Saab and VP Gupta ji and everybody, sir. I'm not taking the name of everybody, but my regards to each one of my senior here. I believe almost all the participants and learned, my senior colleagues who are joining in this webinar and participating in this webinar, sir, have been always blessful to me in person also and in REM also. So it is a matter of gratitude, Rohit Saab. I always receive your, sir, good wishes and blessings, and Premlata Madam also. And as Rao Saab has given me this duty, sir, and you have also sharpened the discussion by adding 3 important pertinent points, sir. Definitely, I will give my humble viewpoint, sir. And it is always a matter of, sir, happiness that whenever I used to meet the all senior colleagues, sir, whose blessings is not less than the blessing of God to me, sir. I'm audible properly, Satyanarayan ji? Yes, sir. So, sir, today this topic of, sir, section 68 to 69D and 115BB, just when I joined, I was hearing Madam Premlata Bansal ji. And madam, you will, I totally agree with you that this, I just heard the glimpse of what you are saying, that this section 115 BBE, if I can say with utmost respect, it is a kind of a distortion in the entire Income Tax Act picture. So why I'm saying so, and why sir, Prohi Sahab, because in my last 40-50 webinars which I have done in last 1 month, and in almost all webinars this question of 115 BBE has been there, sir. But as we debate more, as we learn more, sir. But one thing which I find, sir, and I want to put it very straight, maybe in my experience time in last 15 years in the courts, I have seen that section 68 to 69D, which are basically unexplained income, which are nowhere, as madam was rightly saying in the beginning, it is not undisclosed income per se. It is unexplained income. It is not even unaccounted income, sir. In the strict sense, as far as 68 is concerned, it is not unaccounted. It is unexplained cash credit. Maybe 69 to 69D, one can say that yes, it is unrecorded expenditure and unrecorded investment and unrecorded money. But at the end of the day, sir, it is basically 5 sections or the provisions of sections dealing with unexplained money or income of the assessee. My point is this, sir, when we read section 68 to section 69D, when they were brought in the Income Tax Act 1961, and as far as my memory goes, sir, and as I have read, they were not there in 1922 law. So when we came to 1961 Act, section 68, etc. came. But courts have said that even if section 68, etc. would not have been there, since if assessee has done some transaction and if he has received some credit in his books, then the specific fact in the knowledge of the assessee, he has to establish the nature and the particulars about that credit and source about that credit, because it is in his exclusive specific knowledge. And if he is not able to do so, then even if section 68 is not there, then the addition can be made, and that was the ruling of Supreme Court in Kale Khan Mohammed 50 ITR volume page 1, sir. Kale Khan Mohammed, I believe, madam, was one of the leading judgment on this issue, which was in 1922 law. When we came in 1961 Act, and when all these unexplained income section were there, sir, they are basically all deeming fictions, in as they are all, the text of this section says they are all deeming fictions relating to unexplained income, sir. Now, sir, what I am pointing out at this straight is, Prohi Sahab, that when, sir, an assessee is having some unexplained income, an assessing officer comes to a satisfaction or of the opinion that assessee has, madam, some unexplained income, whether that unexplained income per se on its own can be a basis to say that it should draw the tax rate at the rate of 60% as on date, without anything more. Because if we go to section 115 BBE, it is worded still today like this, that the section 115 BBE, sir, is a special rate of taxation. It is a section giving us rate of tax. It is in the chapter which gives us a rate of tax, special rate of tax. Now, if you read the language of that section, sir, as it is in literal manner also, it says that where any income is offered by the assessee in its return as referred to in section 68 to 69D, which is paradoxical according to me, how an assessee will offer it. So even if there are 2 parts of it today, one is it saying that if assessee offers in the ITR some income as referred to in section 68, etc., or the assessing officer determines the same in the assessment, then the rate of tax will be 60%. And as you were saying, no benefit of expenditure and loss set off, etc. will be given, and loss set off was done from assessment year 17-18. So what is my initial understanding, sir, and initial take is that yes, there should be deterrence of mischief and the deterrence about the tax evasion, and people who are indulging into some kind of tax evasion practices, there should be law for that. There is no doubt about it. As a student of law, I always believe, sir, it should be there. But now question which arises here is, sir, whether any case which comes under the prescription of section 68 to 69D, whether as a natural concomitant, the 115 BBE will be ipso facto attracted or not. Because if we read the language like this, then it is so. Yes, wherever section 68 deeming fiction is applied by the assessing officer in the assessment, he has no discretion but to apply 115 BBE. So, my first take is this, sir, whether mere making of addition under section 68 to 69D can be a basis to say that yes, it comes within the mischief of section 115 BBE. Because if I recall, madam, you will be with me. जब 2012 में Honorable FM at that time Pranab Mukherjee साहब, brought this provision in assessment year 13-14 sir, 115 BBE. 115 BBE was brought by in the Finance Act 2012 sir, with effect from assessment year 13-14. Now this age of this section, madam, is 7, 8, 9 years old. If we count in terms of years, the age of this section, but it has created so much of attraction, I don't know. And the reason is very simple, and because of the tax rate, if I can say, the tax rate of 60%. I'm not saying confiscatory tax rate of 60%. So now this section was introduced into the law by Finance Act 2012, 115 BBE. The idea which was given in the Finance Minister's speech, Honorable Finance Minister's speech, sir, it is, sir, to deter the generation and use of unaccounted money. The purpose to bring 115 BBE, one of the purpose was to deter the generation and use of unaccounted money. And second, sir, as you said, Rohit sir, that the purpose is this, that people were taking misuse of basic exemption limit and laundering the unaccounted money. Now, this is a single sentence of Memorandum of Finance Act 2012, that to address the situation of laundering of unaccounted money, where the people are taking misusing the basic exemption limit. So these were, madam, two purposes behind 115 BB. One, to deter the generation and use of unaccounted money, and second, to address the area where laundering of unaccounted money is happening, and whereby the assessee is taking exemption of basic exemption limit, misusing the basic exemption limit. So, sir, from 13-14 Prohib till 16-17, this section remained predominantly the same, majoritarily the same. 13-14 se assessment year 13-14, madam, to assessment year 16-17, I believe the section remained in substance the same. The major change came in assessment year 17-18. When it came in 2012 and assessment year 13-14, the tax rate in 115 BBE was 30%. It was doubled to 60% in taxation amendment ordinance passed in 16 December 2016. 16 December 2016. The tax rate was doubled, Prohib, as you said. Now, we can divide this section, sir, from assessment year 13-14 to assessment year 16-17 and assessment year 17-18 onwards. Now, assessment year 13-14 to 16-17, there was no so much of pinch in it, because still the tax rate was 30% MMR. But now from assessment year 17-18, sir, the tax rate has been doubled from 30% to 60%. And as you said, it is surcharge and other things are extra, and probably after that the tax rate might become 77%, etc. Sir, madam, I am audible properly? Okay. So what madam, I'm okay?
Yeah, you are audible, good audible.
Okay. So what I was saying, ma'am, that from assessment year 13-14 to assessment year 16-17, 115 BBE has been same as it was brought in Finance Act 2012. Now, when the rate was doubled from 30% to 60% in 17-18 assessment year, then the things become much more difficult. And when, as Rohit Saab was rightly saying, since the amendment was brought in this section in December 2016, 15 December or 16 December date, but the entire financial year 16-17 and entire assessment year was covered, because the effective date was kept as 1st April 2017, that is assessment year 17-18 and financial year 16-17. So what I was saying is, my first point, because I know I'm discussing the cases of demonetization, I have 5-6 principles which I have culled out, and I will just narrate that. But before coming to that, madam, I just wanted to take your viewpoint also on that, Rohit Saab, that when we have the concept of unexplained income in the Income Tax Act, and when assessing officer is having discretion to say that an item of a credit or an expenditure or an investment is unexplained, is deemed to be unexplained, and so deemed to be the income, can then subjective satisfaction by itself be a basis to I'm sorry, I'm talking like a student of law. Can it be a basis to say that this section, this income itself should be taxed at 60%? I'm still not understanding, because a person can have an explanation, still it is not being taken to be satisfied by the assessing officer, and it is treated as unexplained within the meaning of section 68 to 69D. Can it be the basis to say that it should attract the highest exponential and extraordinary tax rate, draconian I can say, or confiscatory tax rate of 60%? So when I read, sir, the rulings of Supreme Court, old rulings of Supreme Court in case of Sannyasi Rao, you must be knowing, sir, there has been and it was a landmark order of Sannyasi Rao, maybe at that time we may not, this order of Supreme Court is very old order, madam, around the time of our birth, and maybe we were young, or I was born in 1982. So this order of Sannyasi Rao Purohit Sahab, his citation is 219 ITR 330. Now 219 ITR, page number 330 is the citation of Sannyasi Rao, and it's important order. Why I'm saying, sir? Because in this judgment, sir, you will recall, an important thing, Satyanarayan ji, is this, that the judgment was from Andhra Pradesh High Court. Justice Jeevan Reddy was author of the Andhra Pradesh High Court order, his lordship. So Andhra Pradesh was the one of the important judgment taken into consideration by Supreme Court bench of Paripuran Sahab in the Supreme Court, sir, in Sannyasi Rao 219 ITR 330. Purohit Sahab, in this order, the sir point which I want to make out is that Supreme Court analyzed the constitutional validity of section 44AC and section 206C. Now it is written in the order, and it is very clear that 44AC, when was brought, that income, presumptive income section on some liquor trade and timber trade, no deduction will be given under section 28 to 43C was the language of the statute at that time, which Supreme Court says is arbitrary, unconstitutional, and is not fitting into the constitutional scheme. That you cannot say that a person engaged in the business of timber and liquor, etc., in 44AC will not be provided deductions under section 28 to 43C. Why I am harping upon it? That even if in a case of a business, you can't say that who will tax, as you were saying in the last line, jab aapne bhi bola, you can't have an assessment of a businessman by saying that who will not allow him the deduction of the purchases and the genuine expenditure which are integral part of sales. Because there the last part of the Sannyasi Rao decision very clearly says, sir, deduction under section 28 to 43C has to be given. I am again repeating, at the cost of repetition, 115BB itself is not a charging point. Charging comes from section 68 to 69D. Now, if in a case, madam, assessee is able to establish that 68 to 69D is wrongly applied by the AO in the assessment order, then I believe 115BB will automatically fall down. So one thing is very clear, without valid application of section 68 to 69D, 115BB independently cannot sustain. So if this is true, then one thing which has to be understood, sir, then section 68 to 69D, if it has to attract automatic application of 60% tax rate, then it has to be very strictly seen whether 68 to 69D are correctly applied or not. Now, if I take a very raw example, but it is a practical case, Purohit Sahab, and you will be amazed, this kind of assessments have happened, and when you were using this phrase high pitch assessment, sir, isse pata chalta hai. Now, I was told in a seminar, sir, that in this assessment year 17-18, maybe it is few cases, but one chartered accountant told me, and professional, sir, our colleague, Mr. Goyal, madam, expenditure has been disallowed in the business head, but addition has been made in section 69 capital C. I thought I should break my head with the wall, sorry. That disallowance of the expenditure, I'm sorry, sir, aap has rahe. How can a disallowance of an expenditure can generate in the unexplained income, sir? भैया उसका सर जो disallowance हो रहा है, income भी तो वहीं पैदा होगी जहां disallowance होगा, sir. How can disallowance in the business head by any sense of reasoning can give deemed income in 69C is unfathomable. आप मेरा खर्चा डिसअलाउ कर रहे हैं, you are not founding my expenditure to be business expenditure or proven expenditure, then section 37 is there. You will increase my business income, but you cannot give rise to unexplained income in section 69C, which requires unaccounted expenditure. So this is one type of case, madam, where 115BB has been applied, sir, and 69C has been applied. So I don't know if this is the way. See, I appreciate, sir, as a student of law, and I humbly submit as a student of law, that section 68 to 69D cannot be applied just because 115BB has to be applied. Rather, it should be something like this, as we learned in case of, I am giving one more judgment, sir. This is, I believe, a very landmark order of Supreme Court in case of Harprasad and Company. It's an old order, Harprasad and Company, 99 ITR 108. 99 ITR 108. Sir, what is the Purohit Sahab in this order? A very important basic concept which Supreme Court told is that total income definition in the Income Tax Act is given in section 2, clause 45. And this definition, sir, clause says to total income clause. Section 2, clause 45 says कि total income means the total income as referred to in section 5 and as determined in the manner given in the act. There are 2 points. Total income in section 2 clause 45 is the income referred to in section 5 and as determined in the manner given in the act. I believe this word in the manner given in the act is very important point. So in any case, if a taxpayer's income has to be computed, sir, first it has to satisfy the ingredient of section 5, which says that for resident this much will be the scope of total income, and for non-resident it will be this following. There it says in section 14 there are 5 heads of tax, sir. Now it is very important. Section 14 still has 5 head of tax, not 6th head of tax is still not there as on date. Pehle hota tha, sir. But today in section 14 there are 5 heads of tax: house property, salary, business income, capital gains, other sources. So what I am saying is, sir, what I want to say from Har Prasad and company, that if an income of an assessee which is genuinely engaged into a business, it has to be determined, then it has to be determined in the manner given in the act, sir. Now in all these demonetization cases, madam, if we summarize, this is not the case of the revenue that assessee is not engaged in business. Maybe it is jeweler, Purohit Sahab, maybe it is petrol pump, maybe it is any other business. At least I am not talking about those taxpayers who have started business after demonetization date. I am saying lighter side. But the people who are genuinely engaged in business from last so many years and doing one particular kind of activity, sir, it is not in dispute. Now what they are disputing is, and limitedly disputing is, sir, the genuineness of the sales happening around the period of demonetization. I will just come to this, but I want to first summarize this point that without valid application of section 68 to 69D, there cannot be valid application of 115BB. And in my humble opinion, madam, correct me if I am wrong, to have valid application of 68 to 69D read with 115BB, it has to be very strictly seen, because tax rate is confiscatory rate. Any doubt has to be construed in the favor of the taxpayer. Now for that, I believe there will be a lot of rulings of Supreme Court. Vegetable products was the earliest order, 88 ITR, and latest is Vatika Township 5-judge bench of Justice Sikri, Honorable Justice Sikri, where they say that if any doubt is there, then it has to be interpreted in favor of assessee. That was 5-judge constitution bench, sir, in Vatika Township, 367 ITR, 466. So what I am submitting is, sir, that charge under section 68 to 69D, so as to be validly taken to 115BBE in any assessment, has to be very strictly seen. And if there is any gap in the opinion of the AO, then it has to go to the favor of the taxpayer, sir. Because 60% tax rate is not a tax rate, which is very, very normal tax rate. Because otherwise also we have the provisions like 115BB, where lottery income, gambling income is still taxed at 30%. We have income like anonymous donations, which is also taxed at 30%. But this is an income which is kept as special income. 68 to 69D is taxed at 60%. So I have, sir, although as a student of law, I have given in my note, background note, that one has to test the constitutional validity of 60% rate vis-a-vis income under 68 to 690, whether it is correct or not. Because why I am saying so, sir, and why, and you may correct me if I am wrong, that these sections were brought for a particular mischief to deter the use of unaccounted money and generation of unaccounted money. And even when 30% rate was increased to 60%, sir, statement of objects and reasons explaining amendment ordinance of 2016. There it is very clearly stated, sir, this change of 30% to 60%, and as you rightly said, it has been done again to address the issue of black money post demonetization. Black money post demonetization. Now, if we examine the text of the section with the context of the legislative intent and contemporaneous expositio, I believe there is gap in the object and the text. Text is going, madam, far ahead. अभी टेक्स्ट में कहीं पर भी ये नहीं लिखा हुआ in my humble opinion in either of section 68 to 69D, neither in 115BB, black money, unaccounted money, neither of these phrases are used. They are simply, sir, unexplained money even today. आज भी section 68 to 69D में कोई amendment नहीं है. Even today, it is a very important aspect, sir, कि after 115BB is rate taken to 60%, one can see section 68 to 69D is still unamended. So whether this amendment in 115BB of 60% is constitutionally valid is something as a student of law we have to see very minutely. So what I have summarized, Shashank, from last 15 minutes, I am summarizing, sir. One, for valid application of section 115BB, sir, correct application of section 68 to 69D is must. And it should be seen strictly wherever there is any doubt, it must be interpreted in favor of assessee. And section 68 to 69D again remains unamended as on date, even after 115BB rate is taken from 30% to 60%. Legislative object was behind 60% rate was to address the mischief of black money, and section 68 to 69D read with 115BB nowhere uses the phrase unaccounted money and black money, sir. And still 115BB is directly dependent upon 68 to 69D, which talks merely about unexplained income. So that is one of the remarks, sir. Second thing I said is that we have to keep in mind Supreme Court ruling in case of Sannyasi Rao 219 ITR 330, and second Supreme Court ruling in Har Prasad and Company 99 ITR 108. That income has to be determined in the manner given in the Act. Sir, what is the manner given in the Act, Purohit sir, in my humble opinion? The manner is given in section 14(5) heads. If I am a businessman, my income in the PGBP head has to be computed from section 28 to 43. Why I am emphasizing on this? Because lot of queries, sir, which are coming right now also before me, and you have also posed a point. That all these assessments are with great respect, greatest respect to the revenue authorities. I feel apart from this being high-pitched assessments, sir, I do not know why I feel that they are against the concept of real income. Because I believe, madam, in a business head or a person engaged in business, the income determination should be as near as possible to the real income concept, sir. Maybe it can be true in house property head, salary head, or capital gain head. There you can have some notionality of income. But sir, in business head, especially in business head I am talking about, or a person engaged in business, as I read, there are a lot of Supreme Court rulings where Justice Nariman, as latestly as His Lordship Justice Nariman, in case of peerless general finance, sir, it is very important order, Purohit sir. Peerless general finance, 416 ITR, page number 1. Now, in this order, sir, Supreme Court, speaking through Justice R.F. Nariman Sahab, His Lordship, 416 ITR, page 1. In the last paragraph has said, sir, that income of the businessman has not to be computed on theoretical principles, but has to be computed on, madam, real businessman point of view. That is 416 ITR, page 1. Peerless general finance. So, what is peerless general finance, sir? Said Purohit sir, that income of the businessman has not to be computed on theoretical point of view, but it has to be computed from strictly from practical businessman point of view, pragmatic businessman point of view. Now, when we doubt the suspect the sales to be genuine, not genuine, at one side, and as you said, sir, the doubt of or suspect of non-genuine sale of the revenue authorities is founded on one of the important ground is this, that their SOP was released, sir. Now, I don't have any criticism of any SOP, sir, but I believe that first letter of law should be seen, then SOP should come as an helping hand. But SOP cannot be a tool to override the jurisprudence or the act. So now what has happened in many of the assessments, Purohit sir, as I have seen in my office and in various webinars, is that all these assessments, and as you have also told, is that these sales which have been doubted or bank deposits, corresponding bank deposits which have been doubted or sales, because I believe both are one and the two sides of the same coin, because amount of deposit which is going in cash in the bank account is stated by the taxpayer in his books of accounts to be sales from his regular course of trading activities. Now, doubt which is arising, let me take all those negative points which revenue authorities are saying these sales are not genuine, ingenuine. An explanation of assessee is to be debunked. Now, debunking of the explanation of the taxpayer is primarily founded on 2-3 points. One of the point is this, that why these sales have happened in abnormal manner in the demonetization period in that very assessee's case. Meaning thereby the earlier assessee do not have such kind of sales, and now he is having very high sales in cash. and that too around period of demonetization, and that too in 3-4 days of 8th November, 9th November, 10th November, 11th November. And that too now a charge is there, as you have said, an allegation is there in orders, that what is the currency which assessee has accepted, whether it is the SBNs or whether it is the new currency. Sir, I will take head on both these points, and with great respect, maybe we can have a difference of opinion, but my humble point of view is this, sir, as a student of law, that as far as apropos first point is concerned, that sales have happened extraordinarily and abnormally in the period of demonetization, that is financial year 16-17, that is on 3-4 days after demonetization. Sir, again, I believe, madam, this principle has been settled. Valecha ji, I cannot say everything in one go. Please hold your breath. We will discuss everything, try to discuss. So, what I am saying, sir, that when they have doubted the sales and when they have said that sir, sales have happened in limited period of 4-5 days, then this is a suspect at the best, that there is some suspicion in the mind of the officer making adjudicating authority that explanation of the assessee might be not correct. So I believe it is not today, sir, from long back, from Supreme Court continuously, madam, has been holding that suspicion, however great, cannot take the place of the evidence. And sir, even if I have not been able to explain that why Purohit Sahab, I have made these sales in this limited period, can the factum of sales be doubted and rejected and entire sales be added on this very ground in 68 on the ipso facto automatically? Answer should be no, because I believe, and I have a ruling, sir, which I believe can be of very great importance, sir, in today's, in my humble opinion, sir. You remember, sir, Parim Sethi. Today I have got, madam, old rulings, sare purane orders I will discuss. I am trying to discuss not new orders too much. Parim Sethi 57 ITR 532. Parim Sethi 57 ITR 532. That all receipts are not income, all income are not taxable income. Burden is on the revenue to prove that assessee has unexplained income or taxable income. 57 ITR 532 और इसमें गोविंद राजू वाला the old order of Supreme Court in Govind Raju which was against assessee has been discussed by lordships of Supreme Court, sir. That while holding a receipt or income to be taxable, sir, Purohit Sahab, very heavy burden is on the revenue to prove it by cogent evidence and not merely on basis of suspicions and conjectures and surmises and guesswork and doubt, and that too, and then that too when the result of the adjudication is 60% tax rate, or not only 60%, 77 or 80% tax rate. So I believe Parim Sethi order of Supreme Court of India, sir, burden to prove that it is really an assessee's anonymous income. I am using the phrase anonymous income. It is not anonymous income, sir. Factum of engagement in business is not in doubt. Assessee has a past history of that business. It is also not in doubt. Assessee has made, madam, purchases and opening stock also is not in doubt. These assessees have not made sales like this in vacuum. The sales are byproduct of stock and purchases. And those purchases, Purohit Sahab and stock has gone undoubted. I will go further, a step further, madam. Books of accounts maintained by the assessee in regular course, their sanctity is preserved under section 145, Purohit Sahab, section 145 of the Income Tax Act, which says that unless assessing officer records a proper satisfaction that books are not correct and complete and it is impossible to compute the income from the given books, then only he can reject the books of accounts. So 145 is also there. Although in many cases they might have applied 145, but somebody has to see section 145 conditions are fulfilled in that adjudication or not. So what I am saying is, sir, doubting the sales on the basis of that they are abnormal sales, on the suspect, they are ingenuine. And secondly, that the currency might be legal or not illegal. Sir, I am not a student of RBI Act, but I can tell, sir, determination in the RBI Act provisions should not colorize my opinion in section 68 to 69D, because 68 to 69D requires the just plausible explanation on the nature and source of the credit. Plausible explanation of the taxpayer, the source and the nature of credit. The two words are there, nature and source. Sir, I am saying I am maintaining books. I have purchased, I have stock. Then I have made sales and I have recorded the sales in my books of accounts. It is also not the case, Purohit Sahab of the department, that these sales are clandestine sales or surreptitious sales or out of book sales. So factum of engagement in business, assessee has no other source of income. All these sales are part of my regular ordinary books of accounts which have evidentiary value in section 34 of the Indian Evidence Law. Books maintained in the regular course have evidentiary value in section 34. Then, madam, 145 is also not invoked correctly or not invoked in many cases. Section 145 relating to rejection of books of accounts. Or sir, section 34 Indian Evidence Law says that books are to be presumed to be correct unless otherwise proved by the AO. Burden is on the department. Then sir, I go further. If my book, madam, purchases are there, stock is there, books of accounts are there, which are undoubted and unrejected under 145. And then when you were there in the seminar of our Delhi ITT bar, madam, you said a very important point, कि साहब VAT की sales का क्या हुआ, VAT का क्या हुआ? Now the assessee Purohit Sahab has disclosed these sales to the VAT authorities also. And VAT authorities, Purohit Sahab has accepted these sales. Now, I, as a student of law, sir, I cannot understand कि while the one arm of the revenue can say the sales is okay, other arm of the revenue can say कि no, they are not genuine because we have to apply 115BB. Sorry, sir, I can't understand. When once the genuineness of the sales and the revenue stands accepted in the indirect tax law by the competent authorities there, in my humble opinion, madam, it is very, very much impossible to say by the income tax authorities that they are not genuine, or they are assessee's own money, so as to be applied under 115BBE, read with section 68 to 69D. So, factum of the sales being accepted by the VAT authorities, sir, is also a very critical point. And then lastly, Purohit Sahab, that they never say that assessee has that real income in his hands. See, even if I don't have made sales, let me suppose my entire business is in genuine of the assessee. This is maneuvered or manipulated, let me presume, without admitting. But even then, can it be said that if a person is engaged in, you are determining his business income or you are determining his real income, can it be said this entire sales itself is the unaccounted, undisclosed, unexplained income of the assessee so as to be taxed in section 68 to 69D, read with 115BB? Sir, I have got 4 or 5 rulings of Supreme Court on real income where they have said that 4 Supreme Court orders at least, sir, where they say that especially in business head, real income concept versus hypothetical income cannot be forgotten. Real income, madam, versus hypothetical income. So one ruling, madam, is the Supreme Court in case of T. Jayachandran. T. Jayachandran, 406 ITR, page number 1. 406 ITR, page number 1. And second ruling, madam, in hypothetical income versus real income is in the case of Supreme Court, in the case of, madam, Excel Industries, 358 ITR 295. Excel Industries, 358 ITR 295. Excel Industries. First I told, sir, was Peerless General Finance. Second I told is this case of T. Jayachandran, 406 ITR 1, page number 1. And third is, sir, Excel Industries, 358 ITR 295. And fourth ruling of Supreme Court, sir, Purohit Sahab, there was an old ruling of Supreme Court in Sunil Siddharth Bhai. You remember, and there in the last paragraph, last 3 paragraphs, Supreme Court has discussed marvelous observations on real income, sir. Citation of Sunil Siddharth Bhai is, although it was again capital gain, I am talking about business income. Sunil Siddharth Bhai citation is 156 ITR 509. Sunil Siddharth Bhai, 156 ITR, page number 509. Should I repeat, madam? 156 ITR, page number 509. So all these ruling, Purohit Sahab, although I have captured all these rulings in Supreme Court, in all these rulings, T. Jayachandran ruling of Justice R.K. Agrawal, sir, Honorable Justice R.K. Agrawal, I believe is one of the very landmark order of today's discussion for, sir. From practical point of view also and from academical point of view also, sir. This was a stockbroker, sir, T. Jayachandran, and he was engaged in stockbroker activities. And he happened to receive, sir, certain money, that gentleman, Mr. Jayachandran, which was the money belonging to Indian Bank, sir, a bank called as Indian Bank. Now this money, sir, which came in the coffers, madam, of T. Jayachandran, bank said ki sahab, you receive this money on our behalf and pay it to the certain public sector units, PSUs, on our behalf. Now, when the assessment of Mr. Jayachandran happened to Rohit Saab, department asked ki sahab, what is this nature of money which has come into your bank account, and kindly give us the written understanding or documentary evidence which can substantiate your explanation. T. Jayachandran said the modus operandi is this, that bank's money came to us and we have paid this money on behalf of bank. Although there is no written agreement for this, but this is genuine fact. And bank also confirmed it. There was proper confirmation otherwise, but there is no written understanding. So income tax officer took the view, sir, we don't agree with your explanation. Since you have no written documentary set of evidences to substantiate your case, so we are treating it this as your unexplained on money income. Sir, matter went to CIT appeal. CIT appeal said no, T. Jayachandran is right, department AO is wrong, and deleted the addition. ITAT reversed, restored the order of AO. Sir, Madras High Court again reversed the order of ITAT and restored the order of CIT appeal. This is going like check and mate. CIT appeal in favor of assessee, ITAT in favor of revenue, and High Court in favor of assessee. Now Supreme Court, sir. Supreme Court ultimately approved the order of the High Court and the CIT appeal. And what important thing, sir, I want to highlight here is, which is of crucial importance, because in lot many demonetization cases, Rohit Saab, as you said about height pitch assessment, when a person asks me, Mr. Goyal, there is an agent of a company, and he's not an agent, new agent, but he's a very old agent and behaving like an agent only, not behaving like principal at all. Now he sells some goods in cash during madam demonetization period, and money came into the bank account of the agent. Again, department applying these two principles that sale is not genuine, you have made abnormal sales and blah blah blah. They made it the sales addition in the hand of the agent under section 68, 69A. In some cases they it is 68, in some cases they 69A, in some cases they do not say anything. This is also the beauty. In some cases, Rohit Saab, the addition is mentioned in 68. In some cases, the addition is mentioned in 69 capital A. In some cases, it is without any. Made the addition in the hand of the agent, madam, of principal, on which commission was paid under 194H and TDS was. I'm audible, sir? Rohitji, I'm audible, sir?
Yeah, you are audible.
So, madam, in this case of agent, what happened? He's earning small commission, but assessing officer in this assessment year 17-18 Rohit Saab has made the addition of the sales belonging to the principal, which are otherwise subject matter of TDS under 194H, 194H. He has made that sales to be the deemed income of assessee, and 115 BVE has been applied. Now see the position of that agent, sir, mental position. He is not earning anything, and what kind of demand has been raised, sir? Madam, am I with you? The agent assessment has taken place of the entire sales of the principal, disclosed principal, and very big companies, FMCG. I'm not taking the name. But 5-6 cases, Rohit Saab came to me in this appeal season like this. Sir, he is an agent. It is not his own money. It is the income of the principal, and principal has recorded that sales in his books and has paid commission and deducted TDS under 190. Now department has applied in the hands of agent this 68 and added entire sales in cash. Sir, T. Jayachandran clearly says now, coming back to T. Jayachandran, Supreme Court says, sir, in the case of a person who is behaving and conducting like himself like an agent, department cannot treat himself as the owner of the money. Sir, this is very important finding of Justice R.K. Agarwal, his lordship for the Supreme Court of India. And he says that, sir, mere physical receipt of the amount in the bank account of the assessee is not sufficient to fasten the tax liability on him. Mere physical receipt is one thing, sir, but character of income in that receipt is something different, sir. That is what Supreme Court pinpointed, I believe, with great clarity and lucidity, that Mr. Jayachandran received this money as a trust in fiduciary capacity, and it was not his own money, income. So department was wrong to make addition in his hands. And ultimately, Justice R.K. Agrawal, Purohit Sahab has applied, his lordship has applied the theory of real income. Why I'm saying T. Jayachandran is most important order according to me in all these demonetization assessments, sir, because it amplifies the concept of real income to its apotheosis. Now, what is real income? They say the physical receipt of amount is not sufficient to say that it is the income of the assessee concerned. So, how I want to say it helps in my all cases in demonetization. I'm a trader. I'm engaged. I have purchased something. I have stock with me. I have sold something. You say that my sales are suspect, under suspect. On some features, let me admit they are under suspect. But whether the suspect can say that it is my real income, sir, and that too under section 68 to 690 read with 115 BB, 115 BB. So it is very difficult, sir. I believe I have thought many times ki how can I from devil side if I argue. Some case you give me and say ki Mr. Goyal, you argue from department side, Purohit Sahab. Then I believe I will not be able to find any good knowledge to support that. I am very humbly keeping it like this. So my take is this, sir, that discretion given in section 68 to 69D was amplified in one of the landmark orders of the Supreme Court, again from the land of Andhra Pradesh. The leading order was there, sir, P.K. Noor Jahan. P.K. Noor Jahan was a case from the land of Satyanarayan Ji from Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. P.K. Noor Jahan, 237 ITR 570. 237 ITR 570 is one of the landmark orders on subject of unexplained income. 237 ITR, madam, page number 570, P.K. Noor Jahan, that even if an explanation of an assessee is not right, then it is not must that AO must make the addition. Purohit Sahab, P.K. Noor Jahan clearly says, even if my explanation as a taxpayer under section 68 or 69 or 69A, whatever, even if it is not correct or satisfactory as the word used is, in the subjective opinion of the adjudicating authority, then also the AO has, concerned officer has discretion which should be used judicially, that whether that sum can be called as the income of the assessee or not. Sir, if I apply P.K. Noor Jahan 237 ITR 570 and amplify the word may, M-A-Y, the word used is may, not shall, in all the section 68 to 690. So, sir, if I scale down and drill down my point, one side assessee's explanation is there that it is my sales made in regular course of business activities. At other side, the allegation of the department is this, that it is not sales, it is something else, but not food, but something else. So if we evaluate it even on the preponderance of probabilities, madam, then preponderance of probabilities, Purohit Sahab, in my humble opinion as a student of law, will go in the favor of taxpayer. Because we have no evidence, incriminating evidence, much less incriminating evidence to that the basic principle. But I have got two rulings of the tribunal, sir, which are very important for today's discussion. And I believe, Purohit Sahab, if these two orders of the ITAT are kept in close consideration, then as you rightly said, this assessment should not hold muster of law, pass muster of law. And although there may be lot many queries, madam, of various queries, but these two orders of Ahmedabad ITAT and Lucknow ITAT will cover the entire conundrum of the subject. One ruling, Purohit Sahab, which I want to mention is that Garg Sahab, sales made in violation of RBI or not RBI is not something which is determinative to decide whether explanation of assessee is acceptance worthy under section 68 to 690, in my humble opinion. To
Voice
test
is
the
not
quality
clear.
of explanation. I'm there, madam.
Voice is not clear.
Let
Voice
me see,
is
madam.
not
I
proper.
don't know what. Just a minute. Let's see my internet connection. I believe some problem is not
Yes,
there.
sir. Yes, some problem is there with your internet connection.
Let me see, sir. Let me see. Just a minute. I am getting my second connection. Just a minute, sir.
Sir, this is your mobile network issue. You don't worry, you continue, please.
Kapil, you continue.
Madam, I'm there now.
Yes, you continue.
Just a minute. I was just thinking that I should connect from my mobile phone if it is possible.
Voice is clear now. It's
Okay, okay,
better.
ma'am. Okay, now okay, Satyanarayana ji.
Yeah, please,
Yes,
please
yes.
continue.
So what I was saying, madam, there are two tribunal decisions. One is in the case of Ahmedabad ITAT, in the case of Shri Sanat Textiles. Shri Sanat Textiles, sir. Now, Purohit sir, this Shri Sanat Textiles was not a case, although of this demonetization period, but has a direct bearing. I will just tell the facts. Shri Sanat Textiles is the order of Ahmedabad bench of ITAT, sir, from the bench of Honorable Rajpal Yadav and Wasim Ahmed Saab. Now, this is the order of Ahmedabad ITAT, madam, 8th January 2020. 8th January 2020. I don't know it's reported or not. But yes, if it is required, I will also send it, ma'am. The facts in this case are this, sir, that one sale was made, madam, in this case by the assessee of odd 3 crore rupees, 3 crore rupees. And assessing officer asked, to whom you have made this sales? Purohit sahab, assessee gave the name and address which he had of the buyers. But assessing officer found in the assessment proceeding that these buyers are not existing and you have not been able to identify the buyers properly. So what he did, sir, in the assessment order, he made the addition of sales in the section 68 and treated the entire sales which were already, madam, offered as sales in the P&L account as the deemed income of the assessee. Although at that time I am saying 115BB 60% bhi nahi tha, sir, us samay abhi to, and their slab rates, sir, system was there, and it is not even the case of assessment year 13-14 onwards. It is an old case. But the concept which is being adumbrated in this case, sir, by the tribunal is whether when assessee has made a sales in the course of the business which are recorded in his books of accounts and which books of accounts are not doubted under section 145. This is the finding of the tribunal. Books are not doubted under 145. And purchase and stock is also not doubted. Tribunal says the AO is utterly wrong in adding the sales in section 68 as unexplained income. Purohit sahab, they have also added a line. The Honorable Accountant Member Wasim Ahmed Saab has written the order. He has said that it is a double addition. Already
Yes.
assessee has offered the sales and you are again adding the sales in 68. It is a double addition. So both the points are very, madam, nicely articulated in this order. One is that when books are not rejected and doubted under 145 and purchase and stock is also not doubted, then sales cannot be added as unexplained income is the view of the tribunal. And second factor which has weighed with the tribunal very heavily, it is a double addition, double taxation. And third factor, madam, they have said that it is not the case of the revenue that assessee has shown the profit which is not comparable to the other people in the same line of business. So I believe this order is a compact order and a very recent order which says that this kind of addition of section, the sales itself in section 68 to 69D may not be upright. Second decision, madam, which is again very apt. One I told of Shri Sanat Textiles, Mana Sahab, Shri Sanat Textiles. Second decision, Purohit Sahab, is Lucknow ITAT, and it's again a very latest order of January 2020, sir. Lucknow ITAT. Now, Lucknow bench of ITAT, sir, fortunately was dealing with 115BBE and 69A. Lucknow bench of ITAT is speaking through the bench of Honorable A.D. Jain Sahab and T.S. Kapoor Sahab. In the case of Kanpur Organics, the case name is Kanpur Organics. Now, sir, this order of Kanpur Organics is reported in 78 ITR Tribunal Magazine. 78 ITR Tribunal Magazine. Kanpur Organics, Lucknow bench of ITAT. Purohit sahab, facts of this case are really fascinating. This Kanpur Organics was searched under section 132, was raided. And in this search, Purohit sahab, the dairy was found in the possession of the company, madam, which shown some extra sales. Extra sales means out of book sales, which were not forming part of the books when the search took place. Now, statement of the director of the company was recorded under 132 subsection 4 of the director of Messrs Kanpur Organics. Now, director said, yes, I will offer this sale, sir, as the income in my books whenever my books and ITR is filed and books are drawn, finally drawn. Sir, when search concluded, assessee made its books of, finalized its books of accounts, and Purohit sahab took those out of book sales in part of sales in the books and offered as income in business income in the credit side of P&L account. Now this extra sales was offered by the assessee as income, business income in the P&L account. What happened later, sir? When climax came, assessing officer in the assessment deleted the sales from P&L account and added the sales in 69A read with 115BB. I hope I am audible, sir. See, sales was disclosed by the assessee in the P&L account credit side, which were otherwise undisclosed sales and found in the diary. Later on, when the books were drawn, they were taken in part of books, and profit and loss account was duly credited with the same. But assessing officer in the assessment, Mana Sahab, deleted that item of sales and treated it as unexplained money or income in section 69 capital A, read with 115BB. Tribunal says on both the counts the view of the assessing officer and cannot be countenanced. 69A application is also wrong and 115BB is also wrong. Why? What is the reason with the tribunal to say 69A was wrong and 115BB is wrong, sir? Purohit Sahab, tribunal observes that once assessee has said that it is unrecorded sales and has already paid due taxes as business income on it, then no interference is wanted in the case of the assessee in 69A is the view of the tribunal. Jo unrecorded sales he has offered as business income in P&L account, it cannot be called as unexplained madam in 69A deeming fiction. And it is a satisfactory explanation and no 115BB can be applied. This is my important point of the order. Why 115BB cannot be applied? Tribunal says the nature of the income is business income only. So, sir, I am Lucknow ITAT and Ahmedabad ITAT, although I have given 10 more judgments of Delhi High Court and Gujarat High Court and MP High Court. And MP High Court is also there, Purohit Sahab. That sales offered as item of income in profit and loss account credit side cannot be added under section 68 as unexplained income. I remember, sir, when I was making a research on this webinar, I found out one ruling of Delhi High Court, old ruling but very important ruling of Justice Sikri of Delhi High Court when he was in Delhi High Court, his lordship. In the case of Madam J.M. Wires, it's a very landmark order, J.M. Wires. It is reported in Taxman, J.M. Wires. Honorable Mr. C.S. Agarwal Sahab has argued this order. Justice Sikri is the author of the order and this is Delhi High Court decision and in the name of case is J.M. Wires. Now, J.M. Wires, madam, facts say that assessee made some sales. Assessing officer was not satisfied with the explanation of the assessee on the sales already offered as income in P&L account. Now, very pertinently, question of law was framed by Delhi High Court, madam, in this case, substantial question of law, whether this action of the AO is in tune with the law or not, is tenable in law or not. Delhi High Court says no, once already assessee has offered as income, AO is absolutely wrong in applying section 68 to it. It is double taxation. That is Justice Sikri, his lordship has said, sir, speaking for Honorable Delhi High Court. This view has, sir, continued when Justice Badr Durej Ahmad, his lordship, has given the ruling in case of Kailash Jewelry House in Delhi High Court. Kailash Jewelry House, it is another order of jeweler making sales in cash, having no name and address of buyer. AO made the addition in section 68 as unexplained income. Delhi High Court from the bench of Justice Badr Durej Ahmad, his lordship, sir, in the case of Kailash Jewelry House, says 68 madam is wrong. So it is one technical public, yes, section 68 cannot be applied to these kind of sales. But my another major argument will be, if I am to take on this case, there is no such real income existing at all. If I see broadly also and minutely also, there can be, Purohit Sahab, lot of cases who can be engaged in presumptive head in 44 AD and 44 ADA. They may not have the full-fledged details as the department is expecting them to maintain regarding KYC of the sales. But again, the question which point which we are getting is whether this is sufficient to draw adverse inference or not, sir. Just because that kind of KYC is not given which revenue is expecting, can it be called as unexplained income? Bolecha ji, see, what you are asking is, I'm sorry, let me complete my deliberation. I will take your query, sir. Please bear with me because I will disturb in my flow. Sorry, I'm really respectfully sorry. So, madam, what I'm saying is, if one point Purohit Sahab posed, that, sir, this rate change from one that I have discussed, sir, that currency wrong, valid, lawful, unlawful, abnormal sales, less sales. I believe all these are the factors which can even at the best be called as in the category of suspicion only. This does not convert sales into my unexplained income, sir. Deemed income and on income. And much less my real income, sir. And real income, as Supreme Court has been saying, which all the orders which I have given, sir. So 168 to 69D, I believe, madam, we can attack and we can say 68 to 69D is wrongly applied. Because the AO has not used his discretion properly, A, and AO has not appreciated the explanation of the SSE, B, and AO has not seen the aspect of real income, C. Three things, sir. AO has not used his discretion judiciously. AO has not looked into the explanation, Mahanaji, of the SSE, respective explanation of each SSE. You can't say all explanation of all SSEs will be wrong. You can't have this kind of thing. Then why you are making my own separate assessment of all? Therefore, Madras High Court has said in one order, sir, where they have set aside the assessment of 1718 of a chit fund case. You can't have a explanation rejection in a summary manner. You see the explanation of SSE, then deal with it, and then find out the lacuna in the explanation of the SSE. Purohit Sahab, in my humble understanding, in none of the orders I see the explanation of the SSE even being reproduced in the order, many of the orders. What to say of that has been dealt as required in the law. So exercise of discretion is one thing, appreciation of explanation of is another thing, and third, real income is third thing, sir. So I believe, sir, on these 3 points, this particular assessment, madam, of 77% rate assessment of 115 BBE rate, read with 68 to 69 are not properly judiciously framed. And there is somewhere, sir, principle of natural justice, Purohit Sahab, also being violated, because we have seen in many cases show cause notice as required in the law is not given to the taxpayer. So this is one part of it, sir. And second part of this, Malhotra Sahab, I am coming to this point now, that yes, Honorable Purohit Sahab also asked me to deal with it, sir. Sir, this rate change from December 2016, change in December 2016, from 30% to 60%, sir. As you rightly said, sir, this order of this 60 ITR order, that name, what is the name, Purohit Sahab, of this order? This T case which you were telling, 60 ITR. There is an order of Supreme Court which you are telling, sir, 60 ITR. That is very rightly you are saying, sir, that the tax rate should apply as applicable on the first day of the assessment year. But now, sir, this is a very extraordinary situation where extraordinary tax rate of 60% is being applied to a person who was surveyed in April, May, June, July. Now he surrendered, sir, a amount with a hypothesis, or I say or with a kind of understanding, legal understanding, that this rate will be 30% rate. Now nobody of us has been bestowed by the God of a sense of clairvoyance. I say the term clairvoyance. I don't have the capacity to make a clairvoyance into the future. Madam, what will happen next? So a person surrendering the income in April, May, June or July, August, September or October or before 8th November. In my humble opinion, sir, as per Supreme Court ruling, which has just come from Justice Nariman's pen in the case of Sati Oil Udyog. The name of the case is Sati Oil Udyog, sir. Now this order of Supreme Court in income tax law, sir, in Sati Oil Udyog. Sati Oil Udyog. Citation of Sati Oil Udyog is, sir, 372 ITR. Sati Oil Udyog citation, sir, 372 ITR 746. Madam, this is a case where you will remember that 143 one-time additional tax was imposed in section 143.
Yes.
And it was for some tax evasion. So Supreme Court says, Purohit Sahab, if some provision is coming in the income tax law and the purpose of that legislation, sir, is to evade to address the mischief of tax evasion, then unless revenue establishes there is tax evasion, that provision cannot be applied. This is what Lordships of Supreme Court have said. So if I go by the theory of Justice Nariman, his Lordship in Sati Oil Udyog, which has been now latestly followed by Supreme Court in Rajasthan State Electricity Board case also.
Yes.
Rajasthan State Electricity Board, Justice Ashok Bhushan's order. Now these two orders, sir, Rajasthan State Electricity Board plus Sati Oil Udyog. Madam, in my humble opinion as a student of law, we can always say that this 60% tax rate cannot be applied to the period prior to demonetization. To make the law of 115 BB Purohit Sahab in tune with the object of the law. Because if I read statement of objects again, reasons again, sir, there is nowhere written that the 60% rate should cover period prior to 8th November also. So, sir, if this is the clear fact or clear position, perspicacious position, then to apply 60% rate in a literal manner to the entire financial year 16-17 and assessment year 17-18, besides being inequitable, will also not be in consonance with the object of the law. So, in my opinion, if somewhere, as you are rightly saying, Rajasthan High Court is already seized of the matter in constitutional virus of this change. Sir, somebody should read down the section someday. And reading down, reading down means, sir, that courts have power to read down a section to make it to preserve its constitutionality and to make it in tune with the object of the law. There is an old Supreme Court ruling in Delhi DTC Union case, old Supreme Court order on reading down theory. So, sir, I believe that 60% rate, in my humble opinion, should be read down in the light of the object of the change and should be applied to the period which is subsequent to demonetization. It is my humble opinion, sir. And definitely, sir, department has applied this section in an arbitrary manner. They have not even seen. Sometimes, sir, my opening cash was there, sir. And when I say opening cash, madam, my assessment of 16-17 took place, assessment year. And in that, closing cash in hand was accepted. But in assessment year 17-18, Purohit Sahab, that cash is not accepted. But how it can happen? I don't know how a cash in hand remained genuine till assessment year 16-17, but when it came to 17-18, it became ingenuine. And the reason I tried to found was, why there is gap in using this cash? Sir, somebody should understand this cash has never gone offshore. This has remained onshore in the books only. And courts are very clear, this kind of cash which is already in the books, it is the discretion of the assessee how to use it, sir. And that should not be interdicted by the revenue authorities on whims and fancies. So in my humble opinion, sir, opening cash balance accepted as true by the revenue authorities in the earlier year cannot be doubted like this. When especially closing cash is in books only, sir. Sir, why I will explain, I am asking a question to myself. Supposingly, in my own case, I withdraw the cash, madam, in April 2016. I used that cash in November 2016 or December 2016. My AO is asking what you did with this cash, Mr. Goyal, in the intervening period. Since I was not even able to give him the explanation which he expected from me. So he says, Kineni, you must have used that cash. Now it is a different cash which you have deposited. So it is being added Purohit Sahab in 69A. Sir, I don't know how this principle of law is working. If I have a cash in hand and that is being evident, manifest from my bank statement and my books of accounts and my cash flow statement. Now, how long assessee keeps it, I don't know. What is the cash expiry time limit in the Income Tax Act? I'm saying in raw manner, sir, there is no expiry limit of the cash in the Income Tax Act. Even I have won a case before Justice Muralidhar and Justice Bakru, sir, in Delhi High Court, where I found a case of Punjab and Haryana High Court where taxpayer used the cash of 10-year-old cash. I have that citation with me, and it was used by me in my own argued case, sir. And yet Muralidhar Sahab and Bakru Sahab accepted it. Yes, that burden is on the department to establish that cash has been used, earlier cash, and the cash which has been deposited later is the assessee's own money. Sir, if this burden of proof is not appreciated, then I believe it will be very difficult for the assessee to prove the negative fact as expected by the revenue authorities. That cash which was withdrawn, those notes and the cash which was deposited is the same. If you go like this, then it is infallible to the hilt. So my point answer here, I believe 115 BBE and 68 to 69D should be used, as you rightly said, in a rational manner, not in a in a perfunctory or a so kind of a lackadaisical manner that all cases are bogus, ingenuine, and are to be done on 115BB. There has to be some kind of segregation of bad case from the good case, sir. And I believe that application of mine should come itself from the assessment order. And when I read these assessment orders, I have given 3-4 instances, sir. There can be myriad of cases where this Purohit, this thing is happening, sir. And as you rightly say, I request Madam also, Premlata ji, and you also, sir, please to make a representation to the board, sir. Now a second problem is coming of the stay of demand and the aftermath of this 115BB, sir. How can SSC be expected to pay the money or like this, sir? 20% money of this kind of very high demand. I don't know how should I describe this demand. This imaginary demand or this kind of very difficult demand, sir. And various assessing officers, sir, insist to pay 20%, sir. 20% of 80%, sir, it will be very huge, sir. And that's why, sir, before I wind up and take your permission and leave, Madam's leave and your leave, sir, I would just like to cite one more decision, sir, of Gujarat High Court, which has just come and just reported in the latest ITR volume of 419 ITR, sir. This is a case of Jinju Wadia, sir. Jinju Wadia. Sir, this assessee Purohit Jinju Wadia, its case is reported in 419 ITR. Although this writ petition, sir, relates to stay rejection. But why I'm saying, sir, it is very important judgment, because in this case, madam, in the search assessment of the assessee Jinju Wadia, the department added the sales shown by the assessee as sales as income, deemed income, unexplained income in section 68. So Honorable Gujarat High Court, madam, has a very pinpointedly Purohit with reference to our MP High Court. MP High Court, I'm saying, sir. There the Gujarat High Court has said, and they referred to other order of Justice Qureshi Saab, which was relied by the petitioner Jinju Wadia. He said, once you can't add this sales like this in 68, and the demand corresponding to that, you can't insist 20% payment in an arbitrary manner. So this decision of Jinju Wadia is important on 2 points. One, stay of demand on these additions, and second, whether 68 etc. is rightly applied to the sales or not, sir. So, sir, in nutshell, we have 3 high courts, Delhi, Gujarat, and MP, saying sales addition in section 68 etc. is not the right position of law. Unless these sections are amended, sir. Law can amend. Yes, assessing officer can treat something already offered as income in sales, can also as income. But without there being any such thing in the law, in the text of the law, to say it is deemed income at the rate of 60%, in my humble opinion, is wrong, sir. Sir, with your leave, sir, I tried to cover the entire thing. And one Balecha Sahab was asking one question, sir, WIP. Sir, see, the work in progress, nature of work in progress in the hands of an assessee, when it is being added as unexplained income. Firstly, madam, I don't know how department can come to this belief that some work in progress in the hands of an assessee is unexplained income under 69 or 69A, unless they believe there is some actual expenditure outside the books. There is something outside the books and unrecorded, as the statute says. So even if, sir, I don't know, Purohit Sahab, you correct me if I'm wrong, that is it, again I'm winding up like this, that mere application of section 68 and 69A, light-hearted application, casual application of this deeming fiction should not land assessee in 115BB's trap. Already I have given my support to this, and my paper is already given, sir, to the Satyanarayan ji and others, and that can be circulated. I have, मतलब कि मेरे को जितना आता था सर मैंने सारा डिस्कस कर दिया है. In my 20 seminars happened in January in Delhi on demonetization and 30-40 webinars in April. उन सब का जूस जितना मैंने सीखा है सब उसमें डाल दिया है.
सर पूरा बॉक्स में डाल दिया मैंने.
I feel blessed, Purohit Sahab and Premlata madam, that you always give me a lot of blessings, and we can take up few queries, sir, as you wish, sir.
Madam, you wanted to add something? I will understand you wanted to add something. Madam,
Kapil, one thing I want to say, that why sales cannot be added under section 68 of the Act when the books have not been rejected by the assessing officer. My purchases have not been touched by the assessing officer. If as per the assessing officer those are not the sales, then my closing stock has to be increased. and therefore entire sale cannot be added under section 68 of the act. That may be one of the reason, because only the profit part
Right, ma'am.
can be added.
So, ma'am, all these decisions which I was saying are saying the same logic only.
Okay.
They are saying the same logic only, that sales cannot be seen in isolated or quarantine manner. Sorry, I'm saying like this. Sales cannot be seen isolated manner. Sales have to be seen with purchases and stock. Pro साहब आप हंस रहे हैं, वो quarantine कर दिया उसको. That has been made separate. Ma'am, we
Yes,
can
sir.
take some jury session.
Because
Yeah, Pureji wanted to add something? No, unmute your, yeah, please.
I have unmuted myself.
Yeah.
See, the most important aspect, Kapilji, is that discharge of burden of revenue.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They are not discharging their part
Sir.
of burden in the assessment order,
Very
and
true.
simply saying that your explanation is not acceptable,
Right, sir,
and this is added.
They have not thrown back the
This is
burden
a
on
total
us.
nonsense.
अब सर दिक्कत ये है कि वो 80% का डिमांड तो विवाद से विश्वास
हाँ,
में
उससे नहीं मिलते उसके ऊपर फिर।
टू गो इन
वो तो
विवाद से
15% था पहले, उसको उठा के 20% कर दिया, क्या करेंगे? Anyway, that is how our bread and butter is.
कपिल जी, मैं पुरोहित सर की बात को आगे बढ़ाती हूँ. कपिल, मैं
सर,
पुरोहित
मेरे
सर
के
की
मैम,
बात को आगे
मैम।
बढ़ाती हूँ. जैसे आपने JR चंद्रन का केस साइट किया, उसमें
हाँ जी,
भी
किया
तो
जनता-
यही था कि चंद्रन ने
हाँ जी।
कहा कि भाई आई एम मियरली द एजेंट,
हाँ जी
these
मैम,
are not my sales.
हाँ जी मैम.
So the explanation has been given by the SSA, and then the onus is shifted on the department.
That's right.
Revenue had no material to prove that these are not the sales in the capacity of agent, and that is why the 68 edition had been quashed. That is the entire
Absolutely,
question
ma'am. Absolutely, very right, very right.
is on the onus to prove by the revenue.
Right, ma'am.
Kapil, आपने इतना अच्छा deliberation, you have covered all the issues, all the principles, whether we thought it, not thought it, everything you have
Very well
included in
Madam,
your
ये तो
deliberation.
this orientation
Nice
is coming from your
deliberation.
blessings only.
Arvind ji, please unmute our senior member VP Gupta ji.
Yeah.
VP Gupta.
PP Gupta साहब.
Yeah, Gupta ji, please.
Gupta जी नमस्कार.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Hello.
sir. Gupta ji, you are audible.
Yes. Kapil has explained the things very well. He has, in fact, in a nutshell, emphasized again and again that once the things have been already entered in the books of account, then section 68 or 69A, etc. cannot be applied. This is the crux of the whole discussion, what the Kapil has said, in fact. One thing just I wanted to add what the Ganesh Purohit ji had already mentioned about this RBI Act. If I am permitted just 2 minutes, I will just repeat that point
Please.
for the
Please,
benefit
sir.
of the persons who are not there or further explain. You see, the notification as on 8th November 2016, this is for the reason that because the department is also taking a plea that you could not accept the sale in the old currency notes. In that context, at the additional point that whether I could accept the old currency note or not, this is only in that context. So notification which was issued by the government on 8th November 2016 only says that these notes will cease to be the legal tender. Now we had to see only the effect, what is the meaning of the legal tender on that.
Tender.
If we go to section 26 of the RBI Act,
Yeah.
has two conditions. The note should be a legal tender and should be guaranteed by the government. And further, section 34 of the RBI Act says that it will be a loan or liability of the government to pay money against the notes which have been issued in circulation of that. Government had allowed the deposit of the notes till 31st December without any condition.
Right, sir.
Now, subsequently, another act had come, which was known as the Specified Bank Note Cessation of Liability Act 2017. This ordinance was in December, then this act became in February only. So this act particularly provided that from the appointed date, which was 31st December, this will cease to be the liability of the government. So on that date, it ceased to be the liability of the government. That is one part. Secondly, this act also provided that henceforth, after the 31st December appointed date, no person will accept or transfer or receive any money. So that is another very important thing. So these are the two things which restrict only the transfer or provide that nobody will accept these notes after 31st December. And further, there has been penalty provisions have also been provided in this act only, that only after the appointed date, if somebody holds, but in fact the penalty after the grace period, in fact.
सॉरी गुप्ता जी, एक चीज, सॉरी गुप्ता जी, एक मिनट बीच में वो कर रहा हूँ. एक मुझे याद आ रहा है कि पहले जब डीमोनेटाइजेशन हुआ था मैडम, तब उन्होंने उसको इलीगल भी बताया था, उसके लिए सजा वजह भी रखी थी अगर कोई एक्सेप्ट करेगा.
Yes. In the 78, when the notification came in 78 demonetization, then the notification itself provided that this ceased to be the legal tender and it is prohibited to transfer or give or any receipt except that.
Right, sir.
That is the distinction between two notifications, and
Very
the
well.
subsequent act, specified act, makes it very clear that it can be accepted, transferred by anybody till December, and penalty will be only after you hold till after the grace period, which ended in case of residents in March, not even in December. So you could hold, there was no penalty till holding the up to grace period in March.
Gupta ji, going into this conundrum of explaining the validity of the notes, I don't know how far we can, the assessing officer in the income tax law, interrogate the taxpayer on these things, sir.
No, what you are saying is perfectly right. That we have to see whether in my accounts these accounting entries have been there, sales are the genuine. It cannot be added on the basis of suspicion. But this is an additional point.
Because you know, Gupta ji,
allegation has been of the.
You know, in illegal business, they say that illegal business also you will tax my income only, na?
No, but this is not illegal, in fact.
Exactly.
And now I can say that what is the effect of the legal tender?
Right.
No, this check is not a legal tender.
Right.
When we accept a check and make the sales, it is a duly accepted point. The note, I could accept the earlier note because it is guaranteed by the government.
It is fait accompli now, sir. It is fait accompli.
So that is so in my presentation, I circulated all these extracts from the relevant acts.
Thank you, Gupta ji. Sir, Gupta ji, thank you very much. Another member, senior member, Mr. Narayan Jain is on the line. And Arvind ji, please unmute Narayan Jain. He wants to add something. Narayan Jain.
Kapil bhai, thank you very much.
Briefly, Narayan Jain.
Very well.
Very briefly.
In Calcutta, in case of pharma shops, medicine selling companies also, such additions have. Pharmaceutical. Medicine companies, though it was allowed by the government, as in case of petrol pumps, that they can accept the currency, old currency notes. Despite that, it has been done. All purchases are from the limited companies. All sales are also there. Everything is produced before the AO. But the very wording in these sections, 68, 69D, and in various other sections, that if the assessing officer is not satisfied, we all are practitioners, we know how he is satisfied. I was in case of one of my clients, that time I was traveling to UK, and the officer demanded, you see, this is connected with the satisfaction. Means several lakhs of amount which he refused to oblige.
I'm sorry, Chansab.
You see, we need to take up, Madam President, we need to take up these cases of this 115 BBE, not only with the Honorable Finance Minister, but with the Prime Minister of India.
Right, sir. Right.
Because that is gross injustice to all, not only the practitioner, but to all our clients. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Narayan ji. Kapil ji, we have some few questions. Shall we take them?
Yes, sir. Yes, subject to the permission of Madam and Purohit sir.
Please go ahead.
Sir,
Dear sir, our old currency expected only government petrol pump, not accepted.
That already we have discussed. Gupta ji has discussed.
Yeah. Then the AO deposited old SBN during the demonetization and as unexplained cash under section 69A, and deposits in other than demonetization as business income on the basis of bank account suo motu. Whether the action of the AO is justified because he had the information that SSC was carrying on the business continuously for such addition under section 69A.
Madam, you can answer, please. I will add.
सर मेरे को तो ये क्या बोले वो ही नहीं समझ में आया कि इनकी क्वेरी क्या है।
मैडम ये कहना चाह रहे हैं कि फैक्ट्स तो बिल्कुल
ये वो ट्रीटेड
आवाज नहीं आ रही। हाँ हाँ
ये वो treated deposit in old SBN during the demonetization as unexplained cash under section 69A and deposits in other bank demonetization other than demonetization as business income on the basis of bank account sumoto. Whether the action of the AO is justified because he had the information that the SSC was carrying on the business continuously for such addition under 69A.
First of all, madam, it has to be seen whether this cash is explained or not, and it is not forming part of books, and how assessee has explained it. And if this explanation is demolished, then only adverse inference can be done.
Yes, yes, yes.
Another question: can assessee claim deduction under section 80C against income chargeable to section income chargeable to tax under section 115?
Sir, 115BB is no man's land. It is written in 115BB subsection 2. It is Gupta ji, I am right?
Yes. Nothing is allowed.
Okay. In case of individual and HUF who does not maintain books of accounts in such a case, can we take defense that since no books maintained, section 68 cannot be invoked?
Sir, this is again a madam very area of a controversy. But one can refer Satyanarayan ji, this latest order of Supreme Court in Bashir Ahmed Sisodiya, where although Supreme Court has not given any ruling on this point, Justice Khanwilkar's order of 24th April 2020.
Yes.
But he has said, he has noted argument of the SSC council, yes, when books are rejected, 68 should not be applied. Assessee's counsel, Mr. Singhvi, was there in Bashir Ahmed Sisodiya's case. He has referred one Supreme Court order. Yes, when 68 is applied, then books are rejected, Gupta ji, then 68 should not be applied. There is one old Supreme Court ruling. As far as trading operations are concerned, yes, if it is a share capital unsecured loan, then it might be done. But if it is trading operations, then 68 should not be applied.
Next question: if any AO had not mentioned any section in order, what is validity of order?
Madam, merely on not referring the section, merely on not referring the section.
SSA matters apply karo isme. Even section is not written. Then how 115 BB would apply?
Gupta ji को भी खोल दीजिए सर.
अरविंद गुप्ता जी को नोट करना. क्या? पीपी गुप्ता. गुप्ता जी प्लीज.
हाँ नहीं बिल्कुल, अगर उससे सेक्शन ही अप्लाई नहीं किया हो तो सबसे पहला क्वेश्चन तो यही है कि वो एडिशन किस बेसिस पे किया है. There itself is to be challenged.
वो तो एडिशन गुप्ता जी वो तो कहते हैं ना, आपका एक्सप्लेनेशन हमें पसंद नहीं आ रहा.
नहीं, एक्सप्रेशन पसंद नहीं आ रहा. In the light of, as you rightly said, provisions have to be strictly interpreted.
Sir, I believe आपका आवाज नहीं आ रहा गुप्ता जी.
Kapil ji, specific charge has to be raised in the assessment order. When section 68 to 69D has not been invoked by the assessing officer, then 115 BBE would not apply.
Yes.
But can department, madam, say 292B is there? Otherwise, we have applied section 68 to 69.
292B is not for these purposes.
Okay.
That is not for. That is not for
Point
filling
taken,
up the gaps.
I got your point.
Order.
I agree with you.
Kapil ji, another question: salary income person is not supposed to maintain books of account. His cash deposit of rupees 4 lakh not accepted, added back without withdrawals from bank sufficient, still not accepted, give solution. The question is not proper.
Satyanarayan ji.
Yeah.
3 more participants raised their hand. Can we allow to ask question directly?
One by one. Just a minute. Wait. The two questions are there. Let me finish these things.
सत्यनारायण जी, एक काम करिए, जो पूछना चाहते हैं पहले उनको ले लीजिए, क्योंकि बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन मेरे पेपर में से भी आंसर हो जाएंगे सर.
अच्छा ठीक है, then you and
madam and Purohit sahab things fit sir.
Yeah, Arvind ji, please unmute Pradeep Kumar Sahgal.
Yeah.
Hi, good evening, Kapil ji, कैसे हैं आप?
बहुत बढ़िया सर.
Pradeep Sahgal calling from Agra. Pradeep Sahgal, नमस्कार. अच्छा नो एक्चुअली
नमस्कार सर.
नमस्कार Kapil ji. Kapil ji, एक क्वेश्चन बड़ा इम्पोर्टेंट है. अभी आपने कहा कि सपोजिंग मेरे पास कैश अवेलेबल था 1416 को ओपनिंग बैलेंस था and it was duly disclosed in the return of income also and I am audited under section 44AB. Okay, what happens is that despite of having that cash in hand with me, when income tax officer saw my cash book for the year impugned year, financial year 16-17, then he could notice in that in my case of my client, he was withdrawing cash from the bank also on a regular basis, 10,000, 20,000, 15,000, 60,000. So then he came to a conclusion that
an inference.
Kapil.
Yes, sir.
What he said, या कपिल वो कहता है कि ये बताओ कि तुम्हारे पास जब कैश इतना सारा था तो तुमने उसको कहाँ कैश रखा तो तुमको बैंक
मैं आप मेरे बड़े भाई हैं सर. मैडम परमिट मी आई वुड राइट I just want to make a lighter point here that one assessee brother was asked by the AO like this कि भैया आप क्या करते हो उतने कैश का जब आपको क्या जरूरत होती है, what is the need why you have so much of cash. He said कि भैया when I keep this cash besides my bed where I sleep I get the good quality of sleep. So this was the reply given to this kind of answer कि भैया what do you do with this cash. So see, I am in my humble opinion Pradeep bhai that cash management is something which is not in the domain of the revenue.
No, that is all. That is very clear. अभी आपने का expiry date नहीं होता.
And I'm telling no ruling sir to you where Lucknow branch of ITAT a order is there by Mr. Partha Sarthi Chaudhary Saab, and the order name is Veena Avasthi. Veena Avasthi, you can note the name of this order, sir. Where he said that there is no law in this. But I'm telling you the important line. Very important thing, sir, which is not there in any other case. What is the finding of the tribunal, brother? They say that there is no law shown to us by the revenue that there is any bar on the frequent withdrawal and deposit in the country by a taxpayer of his cash. So this is the finding of the tribunal. There is no law shown by the revenue that.
Problem क्या कपिल भाई साहब आ गई कि 269T और SS की वजह से पहले तो हम लोग कहते थे हमने एग्रीकल्चर इसको एडवांस दे रखा है, इसको दे रखा है, इस तरह के ड्यूबल सिचुएशंस के अंदर अब क्वेश्चन ये आता है कि आप किसी को दिया भी नहीं दिखा सकते हैं और अगर आपके पास 9 लाख का कैश इन हैंड आ रहा है
भाई वो 269 एसएस लगाएंगे तो यहाँ एडिशन नहीं कर पाएंगे 68 में.
नहीं वो नहीं लगा रहे. मेरी हमारी बात समझिए. अगर हम कैश फ्लो चार्ट बनाते हैं तो बना के देते हैं कपिल तो पता चला 1416 को 9 लाख रुपए का कैश आ रहा है और हम 1 अप्रैल से लेकर 7 अक्टूबर तक 8 अक्टूबर तक आप बिलीव करो उसका रेगुलर विड्रॉल है 1 लाख का 2 लाख का 6 लाख का जमा कुछ नहीं करा उसने यार.
प्रदीप भाई मैं एक चीज बताना चाहूंगा सिर्फ मैडम गुप्ता जी एक चीज मैं जस्ट काइंडली वन थिंग कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट हैज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एविडेंशियरी वैल्यू इन ऑल दिस केसेस सर एंड देयर इज अ डिसीजन ऑफ दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट इन कुलवंत राय 292 ITR कुलवंत राय दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट.
कपिल इसमें 31 मार्च का जो कैश था उसके लिए
गुप्ता जी जस्ट अ मिनट गुप्ता जी कुलवंत राय दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट 292 ITR सर कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट को इफ यू हैव टू रिजेक्ट इट देन बर्डन इज ऑन द रेवेन्यू ब्रदर.
अच्छा.
एंड कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट इज नॉट merely an accountant's document. It is a very important.
You say that is because in the law it is nowhere laid that you have to explain the opening balance and you have to explain that where the money was gone.
Gupta ji can add. Gupta ji can add, sir. Gupta ji can add.
That is a tax and that is a tax-paid money. Yes, so the department cannot ask for where you have utilized that. You want to say, but so far the human probabilities are concerned, you know that tilts toward the revenue. Having cash of 9 lakh rupees, you are again withdrawing from the bank.
I got your point, sir. But this is done, Pradeep, by in lot many cases.
प्रदीप इसमें जो एक इंस्ट्रक्शन जो गवर्नमेंट का था 21 फरवरी 2017 का इंस्ट्रक्शन नंबर 3 वो भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि जितना कैश बैलेंस 31 मार्च 2016 को था उसका एडिशन नहीं हो सकता था.
नहीं वो तो समझ में आ गया. वो तो देखिए ओपनिंग बैलेंस
वो इंस्ट्रक्शन भी आप जो कह रहे हो ओपनिंग बैलेंस है तो ओपनिंग बैलेंस तो पहले ही बुक से आ रहे हैं. वो
जोड़ा नहीं सब उसने नहीं ओपनिंग बैलेंस को नहीं जोड़ा भाई साहब. मेरी बात समझिए. उसका ये कहना कि जब आपके पास वो था तो वो फिर आपने बाद में
then it is Pradeep भाई suspicion only ना. It is not.
हाँ नहीं मैं समझ गया.
इंस्ट्रक्शन क्लियरली कहता है कितना बैलेंस था तो नहीं हो सकता एडिशन.
प्रदीप जी थैंक यू वेरी मच क्योंकि ये टाइम वी आर रनिंग आउट ऑफ टाइम. अरविंद प्लीज अनम्यूट अनिल कुमार सहगल.
यस सर. कपिल जी Very good
sir.
evening.
Good evening,
I
Namaskar,
am Sagar from Agra.
Briefly, sir. Briefly, sir. Briefly.
Actually, sir, I want to know two things. First of all, I want to know the citation of the case which you cited here, that you can use the old cash of 10 years.
That, sir, is you can note the name of two cases, Anil Bhai.
Right.
One is the case of my argued where this is referred Omni Limited, Omni, OMNI,
OMNI.
Limited.
Yes.
And old decision, which was original decision, is Punjab and Haryana High Court, Prempal.
Hey, can you give me the citation?
Sir, it is not reported. Actually, you will read my paper, you will find lot of things in that, and if you are not able to get it, you can ask me.
Google, I will search it on Google.
Punjab and Haryana High Court.
And secondly, the citation of Junjun Wadia's case, where the stay, in case of stay, the High Court has said that you can't demand 20% of this much.
This is 419 ITR, brother. 419 ITR. Just a minute. Jinju Wadia, you are asking about Jinju Wadia.
Yes. Yeah.
Just a minute, sir. Jinju Wadia is again there in my paper, sir. You can find it in my paper.
Okay. So please give me citation.
This is Gujarat High Court, 419 ITR.
Yeah, I am posting the papers given by Kapil ji in the WhatsApp.
Gujarat High Court, 419 ITR, Anil ji. Gujarat High Court, 419 ITR, Jinju Wadia and Sons.
Arvind, please unmute Arvind. Anand.
Sir, sorry, my query is continued. Actually, sir, in one of my case, the assessee.
Sir, आप पूरा citation लिख लीजिए 419 ITR 169.
169, right, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, in one of my case, the assessee had withdrawn a handsome amount of certain lakhs from the bank account prior to the demonetization period.
Right, sir.
And then during the demonetization period, he had deposited the same amount or something near about that in his bank account again, cash. He had withdrawn that amount in the beginning of the financial year. This one, 17, assessment is 17-18, and then during the demolition period, he deposited back that amount. The AO has added that.
Madam,
he asked me,
madam, आप answer करें.
He asked where you kept this amount, where you use this amount, and then why you are depositing it back.
Madam, please, you can answer it.
Yes, benefit can be taken of that amount because from the books the cash has been withdrawn and that the same amount has been deposited in the bank. But assessing officer requires explanation to this account that where this cash has been kept and all that. But in any case, there are number of decisions Kapil have stated.
Madam, Kulwant Rai is a very important order. I am just reading. Kulwant Rai 291 ITR, page 291 ITR, page number 36.
Pardon. Yes, again, please.
291 ITR.
Yes.
36.
36 case.
And that is what Pradeep ji also asked. I am just reading one line, madam, with your permission. This says the cash flow statement furnished by the assessee was rejected by the AO on basis of suspicion that assessee might have spent the amount for some other purposes. High Court said it is wrong. 291 ITR 36, sir.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Kapil ji, I have got one query noted down. Can assessee take the defense of ex post facto law as section 115 BBE comes into effect from December 2016?
Sir, I have already given my opinion, sir, that sure. This has to be read down in the manner of object and contemporaneous expositio.
Okay. So another question, my question is income declared and written as other income. Can it be covered under section 115 BBE through?
Sir, again Satyanarayan ji, this question is saying that parachute landing can be made on 115 BB. First charge has to come from section 68 to 69D, then only 115 BB can.
Yes. Okay, and so that's all time for us because we are running out of time and the Zoom automatically shuts down. So before it shuts down, I want to thank our Kapil ji. Highly energetic lecture by him. Now
I feel blessed by Madam Premlata Bansal ji, Gupta ji, and everybody, sir.
Yes. So
Kapil, it's your deliberation. No? It's
Arvind,
your...
please unmute
Madam,
Sita Bajra Rao.
Very well done, Kapil. Very well done, Kapil.
Sita Bajra Rao, please propose vote of thanks.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Satyanarayana Garu. Say thanks to our past president, Premlata Bansal madam, and Ganesh Pure sir. You are giving a nice opening remarks. And this is first time I listen webinar of speaker. It's very clean presentation he made. Actually, my practice is, I leave my income tax practice in year of 2003. Now I am concentrate on indirect tax only, but because of after listening the webinar of the speaker, very nice presentation, sir. I appreciate young dynamic leader, dynamic speaker. You have a great future and all the best. And also our National President, Madam Nikita Badekar, Madam, given an opportunity to our South Zone to organize this type of webinars. And I appreciate Satyanarayana sir and our National South Zone Chairman, Mr. Prasad. Thank you for participants and encouraging our South Zone to conduct this much of webinar. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Namaskar, Gupta ji. Namaskar, madam. Namaskar, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.